What's up, and welcome back to another episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. I'm your host, Mason Kinahan. Today, the Washington Commanders beat the Tennessee Titans 42-19. 42-19 to improve to 8-5 overall. The Titans fall to 3-9. What a win for the Washington Commanders today, bouncing back after a 3-game losing streak. They've lost to, Dallas. That was bad. They lost to Dallas, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh in the last 3 weeks. You come back to, or I guess you're already at, but you go back to Commanders Field. The Titans come into town, a team that you should beat, and you not only just beat them, you demolish them from start to finish, beyond a little bit in the third quarter, I will say. It looked like they were dominating the entire time. 21 points in the first half. Let's just dive right in with this offense because Kliff Kingsbury, I apologize. I was unfamiliar with your game. What a performance from him. 42 points from the offense today. That did not include a missed field goal, or 2 missed field goals as well. So this offense basically had a chance to score points on every single drive except the first 2 of the second half. But beyond that, this offense in the first half goes touchdown, 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 missed field goal, end of half. I mean, look at these drives. 3 plays, 59 yards in a minute to kick off the game. 11 plays, 80 yards. 3 plays, 24 yards, capitalized off of a muffed punt or muffed kickoff. 9 plays, 34 yards. 12 plays, 60 yards. This Kliff Kingsbury offense was moving in this one. I got to give props to Kliff. Now, this Titans defense, right? It's impressive. It's very impressive, especially what Washington was able to do on the ground game today. They ran for 267 yards. I believe that is a season high. If that's not a season high, it is very close to it. 45 total carries, 267 yards, 3 touchdowns total for this Washington Commanders offense going up against a team that was top 10 in run defense efficiency. The Titans are. So big time performance from Kliff Kingsbury and this team. You know how Kliff Kingsbury values the run game. He's always a run-first offensive coordinator. And what he's been able to do with the run game as well has been very fun to watch. He's got a very creative run game. You've got a lot of stuff going on. You've got power. You've got duo. You got some counter in there as well. I mean, some of his counter drops are just beautiful. Guard tackle combos. You bring in some tight end blocks in there, or end arounds. Like, it is awesome to see what Kliff Kingsbury is able to do in terms of the run game and the creativity he has, which it's awesome. Ran for 267 yards. Some of that was designed. Some of that was also just Jayden going around and doing his thing. But the run game, 16 carries, 103 yards, and a touchdown for Brian Robinson. He kicked things off with a 40-yard carry to the house. Awesome stuff from him. Chris Rodriguez, 13 carries, 94 yards. He had 10 carries for 86 yards and a touchdown on one drive alone. It was awesome to see Chris Rodriguez, a guy who was cut 8 days ago. He was cut from the roster 8 days ago, and now he's doing stuff like this. You had to bring him back because of the Austin Ekeler injury, who, again, I did not do the preview pod. Austin Ekeler, you guys probably know this by now, but Austin Ekeler on injured reserve with that concussion. He's out for the next month. He is out for up until, I believe, the last 2 games of the season is when he's eligible to come back. So that is something to keep an eye on, or last 3 games of the season, maybe because of the bye week. But something to keep an eye on there is the status of Austin Ekeler. In meantime, though, 13 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown for Chris Rodriguez, 6 carries for 32 yards for Jerry McNichols. Big-time stuff. Both of those guys averaging over 5 yards per carry. Chris Rodriguez averaged 7.2. McNichols averaged 5.3. And then Jayden as well. 9 carries for 34 yards and a touchdown. His touchdown was beautiful. Juked out like 3 different guys. It's crazy. When a play breaks down, Jayden Daniels is able to do his thing. And you can see that creativity that he has and the capability that he has out of structure, the stuff that he brings. It was awesome to watch. This team, 3 rushing touchdowns, also pretty good as well. Converting in the red zone was huge in this one. 42 points. 42 points is a lot of points. Awesome stuff. 7 touchdowns for this offense today. Or 6 touchdowns? 6 touchdowns for this offense today. My bad. 6 touchdowns for this offense today. Great stuff from the guys in the run game. Shout out to the offensive line. Not only was Jayden pretty much held upright the entire game, he took 2 sacks, but I would say those were kind of on him holding the ball for too long. But they were blocking the run game. There were some major holes opening up for Brian Robinson, for Chris Rodriguez to run through, especially all the way up until the end of the game. You had Sam Cosmi going out there and kind of just fighting people, which, I mean, you don't want to take it too far if you're Cosmi, but you love to see that mentality, especially those guys in the trenches who every single play, they're going to be getting hit. They're going to be going after the other players that are going to be blitzing them. Like, they're taking the most amount of contact every single play, and you love to see that mentality throughout the entire game from this offensive line. So great stuff from this Washington run game. Oh, averaged almost 6 yards per carry, 5.9, which is huge. 45 carries to Jayden's only 30 passing attempts, which if you kind of add a little bit more on the passing attempt side, because Jayden did scramble out a couple of times. Still, though, love to see the balance in this team. And since the run game was just working today, 267 yards against the defense that I think Grant Paulson said it, but the average is only 106 yards. Opponents average only 106 yards or something close to that on the ground so far this season against the Tennessee Titans. And this team got more than 2 times that. That is huge. That is massive for the confidence in this run game that has really kind of been halted in the last few weeks. You look at, let me check, but you look at the last few weeks against, I know it is some better defenses, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Dallas, but still, this team should be running only 60 rushing yards against Pittsburgh. And let me check the Philly game. Only 93 rushing yards against Philly. And then against Dallas last week, I mean, they had 145, but a lot of that was Jayden Daniels just kind of scrambling around. Like, this is massive for the run game, and the confidence that Kliff Kingsbury and this team has going into the bye week. I'll get more into what's next for this team towards the end of this episode, but it's just cool to see. Definitely a much needed win. It's a game they should have won, a game where this offense should have definitely put up a lot of points. Now, I didn't have the preview pod because of Thanksgiving, but on my Twitter, where you can follow me at Mason_Kenahan, that is where I said I thought this team would win 24-16. I thought this would be a pretty close game. I thought this Titans defense was better than many people thought it was, and I thought the stats were true, which, I mean, maybe they still are, but again, Kliff Kingsbury's offense just absolutely demolished Denard Wilson's defense. So that is massive for the Washington Commanders. Going into the pass game now with Jayden Daniels, 25 of 30. We talk about the completion percentage. Let me do some math here. What's 25 divided by 35 over 6 is how much percent? 83%. 83% for Jayden Daniels today through the air, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. I mentioned before, 2 sacks for Jayden, only 10 yards lost on those, though. A passer rating of 114.7. Beautiful game from Jayden. A historical game from Jayden Daniels in this offense. First off, 21 points in the first quarter, ties the most in the first quarter for the Commanders in franchise history. Massive stuff there. Jayden Daniels as well. First game in his young NFL career where he's had 3 passing touchdowns, and also the first game in his career where he's accounted for 4 total touchdowns. He had the 3 through the air. He also had a touchdown on the ground as well. A historic game from Jayden Daniels in terms of his young career. Or record breaking, I guess that's a better word for it, but a record breaking game for Jayden Daniels in his career so far. Again, a lot of promising stuff coming from QB1 so far this season. The last few weeks, there have been some struggles, some doubts. What is Jayden Daniels? Is he starting to get figured out? But now, in this one against the Titans team that, let's face it, they are not that good. They were 3-8 or 3-9, whatever they were, 3-8 for a reason going into this game. Washington should win going into this game at 7-5, 4-2 at home, and Washington delivered. So this passing attack was on it throughout this entire game. Terry McLaurin, 8 catches, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns, most of that coming in the first half. Kind of just put this game away pretty quickly. It was 28-0 in the first 20 minutes of this game. Before, I believe, 20 minutes went by, it was 28-0. That's how quick things happened for the Washington Commanders offense. 21 points, like I mentioned, in that first quarter. Nothing in the third quarter, but then 14 in the final quarter. Zach Ertz, 3 catches for 35 yards and a touchdown. De'Ami Brown, 4 catches for 35. Noah Brown, 3 catches for 27. We'll talk about him in a little bit. Alameda Zaccheaus, 3 catches for 14. Luke McCaffrey with 2 catches. He gets on the board for 13 yards. Another rookie, Ben Sinnott, 1 catch for 3 yards. He gets on the board. And Brian Robinson, a catch for 6 yards. Great stuff from this entire receiving room. What's this? 8 different receivers got a catch today. We are seeing Jayden Daniels spread the ball out. We're seeing a lot of different guys get some playing time, especially towards the end of this game when Washington went up pretty big and kind of put the game away against Tennessee. And I mean, they were delivering. Simmons was making a couple catches. Luke McCaffrey I wouldn't say crucial 4th and 2, but a 4th and 2 to help put the game away late in the fourth quarter. He gets a nice catch over the middle of the field. You love to see it. You love to see it from the young guys. They're getting a lot of more playing time. Now, I would still like to see more of McCaffrey and Sinnott in the future, but for now, when you're up, I mean, I cannot complain that much to a 42-19 win. So big time stuff from this offense. And Kliff, will we see this be able to continue after the bye week? That is still up in the air. I'm not going to be declaring one way or the other, but I think this is a major momentum boost offensively for the Washington Commanders. 42 points, 42 for this offense. 6 touchdowns from Kliff Kingsbury and company. It's a big time momentum boost, especially since they've struggled the last few weeks and they've kind of come away with 3 straight losses. You're going up against a defense that is kind of, maybe you could say the stats are better than what the team actually is, but they were able to expose them from start to finish, especially right out of the gate. They were just the better team, more physical. Loved what I saw from the offense today. Let's shift to the defense. The defense, they were getting pressure on Will Levis. They got 2 sacks, but it was a lot of pressure. Levis was 18 of 37. 18 of 37 in this one. Now, a couple of deep shots helped him get 212 yards out of that and 2 touchdowns. But overall, I liked what I saw from this front 4 or front 7 really in this one. Looking at some of the guys, Bobby Wagner, 5 tackles. Louva was in the backfield. He had a sack, a tackle for loss. Deron Payne and Cleveland Farrell combined for the other sack. Each of them got half a sack for that. Dante Fowler, a couple of tackles for loss. And just, it was more about the pressure on getting to Will Levis. You could tell Levis was inaccurate when he was pressured. I loved what I saw from Dan Quinn and Joe Witt. They were bringing a lot of blitzes, blitz looks, blitz packages. You had some corners flying off the edge, getting pressure on Levis. You had a lot of looks where you got 6, 7 guys on the line of scrimmage. Only 4 of them blitz, or only 3 of them blitz. Most of the time, it was just 4. Or blitz, or kind of just rush the passer, really. Blitz isn't the right word. But sometimes you've got linebackers coming back from, or rushing the passer from 7, 8 yards deep off the line of scrimmage. So it was cool to see the different looks that Joe Witt was giving a young quarterback like Will Levis. But it's awesome. It's awesome to see the success from this front 7. Johnny Newton, I believe, or Mike, I think Johnny Newton was kind of close to getting a fumble recovery. I don't think he actually did. He did not. But it was awesome to see this front 4. Javonte Jean-Baptiste got a tackle. Carl Davis, a guy who's come off the practice squad with the injury from Jonathan Allen. We've been needing some guys to kind of get some more playing time, and Davis was pretty good. He was running all over the field today. Loved what I saw out of him. Jordan McGee was also making some tackles as well. I can't wait to watch his film on his last few games, just because it's kind of been hard for McGee to get some playing time on defense. He's been getting some time on special teams, but defense, I like to see him play a little bit more. And I think I have to look at the snap counts, but I think he did play more today than he has this entire season on defense. I could be wrong, though. But I liked what I saw out of Jordan McGee. Jeremy Chin, of course, all over the place. But I think the main story in this one, especially on the defensive side of the ball, has to be number 0, Frozone himself, the guy who's having a pretty great weekend from his alma mater, winning a pretty big game, I would say, on Saturday, to now winning this one and forcing also Terry McLaurin to hold up a Michigan jersey, his own Michigan jersey, actually, during his press conference. Is Mike Sainristil. Mikey Sainristil was all over the field today. One of the best games of his career. 7 tackles, Let me see if I can get his live PFF grade up, because I mean it was a great game from Mike Sainristil. All over the field, 7 tackles. Let me get it. Mike Sainristil, a run defense grade of 95.9. Now, again, when the finalized grades come out for PFF, those will be more specific. But look for his run defense grade to be pretty high. Right now, it's a 95.9. The live game, he played 55 snaps. I mean, the guy was all over the field. He was making plays, multiple pass breakups as well in this one. 5 tackles, 2 assist tackles in coverage, 2 pass breakups, I believe. So it was kind of a good day, especially run defense from Mike Sainristil. Now there was a couple times in uh, in coverage where he really struggled, but I still overall liked what I saw from Mike Sainristil. I'm looking at the quotes here from Dan Quinn as they start to come in. Number 5 felt electric tonight. Couldn't say better. Love that today. The lead Sled Dogs led the way, referring to the veterans. McLaurin urged Wagner Payne. What else? Dan Quinn said he met with Emmanuel Forbes, which I haven't even mentioned yet, but Emmanuel Forbes being released. That was kind of big for the Washington Commanders. Now, that was kind of like that was, well, I mean, we kind of saw that coming. That was kind of expected, especially since this team tried shopping him at the deadline, could not get anything from him. But Dan Quinn said he met with Emmanuel Forbes and told him that sometimes a change of scenery can be good for a player. We want to wish him the best on his football journey, wherever it goes from here. Class stuff from Dan Quinn. I mean, like, nothing else really you can say just to support the guy. We'll see if he clears waivers. Maybe that will already be done by the time this episode comes out. Not exactly sure when waivers kind of clear, but a waivers process. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Forbes. I think the secondary, especially with Lattimore potentially coming back after the bye week, is going to be fine. Mike Sainristil, I'm kind of feeling like he continues to play on the outside, even when Marshawn Lattimore comes back, because he's just so good. Now, in coverage, he struggled a little bit, but if you give him some safety help, I feel like he'll be fine on the outside just for the rest of the season. Things are going so well for him. I think it'd be kind of difficult to move him back inside, have him playing a different position. Then you got to maybe kick Noah I back outside. Like, there's just some things that, I mean, it's somewhat working right now. It's somewhat working. So I'd say just stick how it is with Mike Sainristil on the outside, along with Marshawn Lattimore, and then rotate in Benjamin St-Juste, who was a name that I did not mention a lot today, which is always a good sign. You don't want to be mentioned, really, if you are a cornerback. So good stuff from Benjamin St-Juste, I guess. All right, let's move on to kind of some not so great news. We've had a couple injuries in this one. It was not wonderful for this Washington team in terms of staying healthy. But who was it? Quan Martin down with looked like a shoulder injury. He got trucked by a Titans receiver, or Titans tight end. I couldn't remember who it was exactly, but late in the game, Quan Martin gets trucked, goes down, looked pretty much in pain. I don't know if he came back or not. I didn't see him on the field after that injury, but we'll have to wait and see for an update for Dan Quinn there. And then Noah Brown with a rib injury went down, I think, in the third quarter. Maybe it was early on in the fourth quarter, but maybe it was the second quarter. I don't exactly remember when, but Noah Brown went down with a rib injury. He did not return. Now, the team was already up by like 20 points when he was declared out. So was it precautionary? Again, we'll have to check with Dan Quinn for updates there. But injuries hitting Washington, good time for a bye week. The team can get fully healthy. Potentially Marshawn Lattimore can come back as well for the final stretch of games, which we'll talk about in a second. But final thoughts and takeaways here for Washington's 42-19 win over the Tennessee Titans. Again, it's a massive win going into the bye week. This team gets momentum coming off of a 3-game losing streak. A game against the Titans is pretty much exactly what you needed. A team that is not that great, maybe is playing better than what their record shows, but still a team that you should be. You come in as favorites, more than touchdown favorites, I believe, and you also just get the job done. You're playing in front of your home fans. You go up 21-0 by the end of the first quarter, and then you get a muffed kickoff. Well, by the way, shout out special teams. special teams came to play today. Tyler Owens, there was a big training camp guy, UDFA out of Texas Tech, the safety who a lot of people talked about in training camp as potentially making the 53-man roster. He did. Now he's been a healthy and active, and he's been kind of playing special teams throughout this season solely. But playing special teams and making plays on special teams is how you get more playing time, and that is exactly what Tyler Owens did. He made a play, got a forced fumble, and I do not remember who it was recovered by, but big-time stuff there from Michael Walker, I think is who it was recovered by, actually. Michael Walker recovers it. Great stuff there from Tyler Owens, which I love to see. I want to see a lot of success for Tyler Owens as a guy, UDFA, a guy that Washington spent a lot of money on as a UDFA, and he's turning out well so far. So making plays on special teams, love to see it for a very, very athletic guy like he is. So that was one thing. Back to what I was talking about, though. Big win for the team. Just dominance, really. Dominance, 21-point lead in the first quarter. You finished the game off well, too. Now, it looked a little scary there in that third quarter as the Titans scored 13 straight points. But you come back, you score a touchdown, 42-19, your final score. Yeah, the team is feeling pretty good going into the bye. But then you got the final stretch of games. Coming out of the bye week, you've got at Saints, and then home against the Eagles, home against the Falcons, and then at Dallas. The Commanders need to win 2 of these 4. They need to win 2 of these 4 to make the playoffs. You win 1 of these 4, things get very interesting. I'll look at the playoff picture as it stands right now. I'm recording this in the middle of the 4 o'clock game, so it might not look as exact as what it will look like afterwards. But the Washington Commanders currently have the 7 seed at 8-5. The 8 seed right now, who, again, if you're the 8 in a conference, you're not making the playoffs. The Cardinals currently have the 8th overall spot in the NFC. They are 6-6. So the Washington Commanders are 2 full games up on, or 1.5 games really, up on the Arizona Cardinals. The Buccaneers are playing right now. We'll see what happens there, and same with the Rams. But 2 full 1.5 games, no matter what happens actually with those 2 games. 1.5 games up on or in the playoffs, really. So as a 7 seed, you're 8-5. Good stuff there. You're going to be going up against, if you somehow get the 5th or 6th seed, which it'd be very difficult to, because right now the 5th seed is given to the Minnesota Vikings, who are 10-2. Crazy season for them. Then the Green Bay Packers have the 6th seed at 9-3. I mean, it's going to be hard to get a 5 or 6, but that is exactly what you really want. If you get a 5 or 6, you'll be going up against most likely the NFC South winner or the NFC West winner. Both of those teams are significantly worse, in my opinion, than the Detroit Lions or Philadelphia Eagles. So, or I guess really the Philadelphia Eagles. Whoever gets the 2nd overall seed will most likely be Philadelphia, though, looking at how it is. So, again, this team, Washington, though, is still just 1 game back, really 2, because Philly holds the tiebreaker division-wise. But they're really 2 games back from the Philadelphia Eagles. You play Philly in a couple weeks. If you win that game, plus you win 1 more game than Philly the rest of the way, you are NFC East champs. You'll host a playoff game in the first round. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. But still a lot of work to do for the Washington Commanders. That'll pretty much do it for this episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. The next episode, it will be sometime next weekend. It is a bye week for the Washington Commanders. I'm either going to record a podcast on Friday or it'll be on Sunday, coming out on Monday. It'll be one of those days, but I'll be talking about the NFL draft, looking ahead at the NFL draft. Who could be some guys that could rise up draft boards? Who could be some guys that Adam Peters might like? I'll be checking out the NFL draft and kind of previewing it as a class as a whole next weekend. So I'm excited for that because, again, if you know me, I'm a big NFL draft guy. Loved going to the Senior Bowl last year. So I'm looking forward to that episode. But that'll do it for this week's episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. See you guys next one. Peace.